Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I am Marge Innes. I'm the Voter Service Chair for the Adams County League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters was founded in 1920 after women got the right to vote, and it is primarily an organization to educate voters. We do not support or oppose candidates. We do support issues after we've studied them, and so that's our primary function, is to educate anyone who is going to vote, and we hope you all vote. We've seated the mayoral candidates, and we'll do the same with the others as they are placed on the ballot. The mayors are from the left: Jan Coleman, Eric Montoya, Stephen Cervantes, or no, Stephen is missing, James Treibert, and Beth Martinez Humenik. We are not going to have a debate tonight. We're going to have questions that have come from many sources, the city, citizens, general questions that we've used in other city candidate meetings this season. And so we'll have a 3-minute introduction from each of the candidates, introduction of themselves, and they can say whatever they want to about themselves. And then from then on, all answers will be 1 minute long. Our timekeeper is Nancy Vincent, and Michelle Kelly is helping her. She's a former city clerk from Westminster. It's being taped tonight for presentation on Channel 8, Thornton's Channel 8, but it won't be going live tonight. It will be taped. Okay, I think that's all I have to say. So why don't we go ahead and start with Jan, and you can take 3 minutes. And the timers, I don't know, can you see a timer? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you so much. First, I'd like to thank the League for putting this together. I know it was extremely last minute. It's difficult to get everybody together with a week's notice, so I just want to say thank you. Really appreciate it. I also would like to see if maybe in the future we can have these scheduled a little bit further in advance. I know it was difficult for everybody to make it. I know I had to rearrange my work schedule to be here, and I know there's a few other people that weren't able to do that. But I think it's really important for the community to hear. So thank you for letting us talk about why we're running for mayor. I'm Jan Coleman, and I am running for Thornton Mayor. For the last 6 years, I've served on the City Council as a Ward 4 council member. I was elected in 2013 and again in 2017. And for the last 2 years, I've served the entire city as the Mayor Pro Tem. I am so proud to serve for my city, and I love giving back to this community that I call home. My top priorities for my campaign are transportation, growth, and public safety. And I am very honored to have received endorsements from both the Thornton Fraternal Order of Police and the Thornton Professional Firefighters Association. It's important to support our police and our fire professionals, and I will continue to do so as mayor. In my career, I am a licensed professional engineer with more than 20 years of experience, which is something that gives me the technical knowledge to be able to help manage a growing city. But most importantly, I'm a mom of 2 amazing kids and the wife of an extremely supportive husband. I really hope to earn your support and your vote for this election. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, next we have, I can't remember.
I'll just introduce myself. That's
Yeah,
all right.
okay. Go ahead.
I'm Eric Montoya, and again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this event, and I want to thank the city staff and the city for hosting this event. And then most importantly, I want to thank you, the community, for showing up and for caring and being here tonight to understand where we stand on different issues. I've been on city council for 7 years now, and luckily I've had the opportunity to serve as mayor pro tem just before Jan did. And during my time on council, I've worked on a lot of different issues, and some of those issues that are still very relevant today is the development of the city. We're halfway built out right now, just a little over halfway built out. And so we're at a critical time in the city of Thornton's history where we want to make sure we're smart with development that gives back to the community and engages the community. And I'd like to see, and if I'm elected, I'll have a task force or a citizen group that kind of vets development as well. So another issue that we've worked on as council, and I think we all agree on, is public safety. We've invested heavily in our public safety here in the city of Thornton. It's one of the most critical services we provide. And so we have made sure that that's going to continue to be provided at the level it is now. The real reason I decided to run, and it was because I'm a single dad, and I take care of my father as well at home. So I've got 3 generations at home, and I've lived paycheck to paycheck. So I'm just your average Joe that's trying to put food on the table here for my family. And I know what it's like to struggle and wonder from time to time, if you lose a paycheck, what's going to happen. So that's why I decided to get involved, and also because my mother passed away when I was a young boy of a rare form of cancer, and my dad had to work 2 jobs at night to help pay her medical bills. And the wealthiest country in the world, we shouldn't have to go broke just because somebody gets sick in your family. So that motivated me to run. Once I got involved, I realized this year Thornton's at a crossroads. We have a option this year to elect a mayor who's going to empower the community voice. And if you look at the recent financial reports that were just public information, the oil and gas industry is heavily concerned about this race. With Senate Bill 181 passing, it's gotten to where local communities have control now of regulating the industry, and the industry now realizes that they've got to have a seat at the table. Now, they want to run the regulation meetings. And let me just tell you this, that I don't want to demonize the people in the industry because I have family who works in it, but they don't have a right to run the city and buy the seat of mayor. And so the seat belongs to the people. And we had to make sure that continues to be the way it is going forward. But, I'm not, like I said, not against the industry. But in my administration or during my term, they will have a seat at the table. They just won't own the table because the table belongs to the people. Thanks.
Hello, my name is James Treibert. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the League of Women Voters and the City of Thornton and its residents to come out and watch this open forum regarding mayor race. And what inspired me to run for mayor would be that I want to be more engaged in the community. I've been a local Thornton resident for 7 years now, Ward 1. And I actually, right now, I work in University of Colorado Library, and I've been there for 15 years. I worked public sector before. And one of my top priorities would be managing growth, possibly annexing more land for the city of Thornton, and public safety. I support the firefighters and the policemen to have them do a better job managing the crime, increasing crime in Thornton. I'm married, and that's about it.
Good evening. My name is Beth Martinez, Humenik, and many of the residents that have lived here for a while probably know that I served for 7 years on Thornton City Council from 2007 to 2015, and then from 2015 through last year, I served as your state senator. I got involved in the mayor's race because I think we are at a crossroads here in our city. We're heading towards 143,000 people. At full build out, we'll be at close to 250,000 people. So it's very important that we have some good, strong leadership and a strong voice that can advocate for our city and our citizens, and someone who will listen to the citizens to see what is needed in their area that they live in. I was very actively engaged When I was on city council, I was actively engaged, not only at the state level, but with the 3 cities that I represented all the time when I was a state senator. And I have a lot of national and across states all over the country, a network that I can pick up the phone and call other legislators as well as leaders to find out how they are dealing with some of the things that we are hearing about today that are now starting to affect Thornton. I am going to be working on a safe community. I have always worked with the police and fire. It's very important that we have a strong public safety group and that our citizens know what they actually do for them. A thriving community. Economic development is going to continue to be a driving force with our city. However, we also need to make sure that we are planning well so that we don't have growth that is overexpanding and our infrastructure can't handle the new growth that we have for residential and our commercial development. We need to protect our small businesses. Our small businesses were what carried us through this last recession. I will be a mayor who will put you and Thornton first. I will be a full-time mayor, and I have the support of my husband with that. He understands that I have a need to want to give back to my community, to listen to my community, and to help my community move forward so that we will be successful and thriving, not just a few years down the road, but 50 years down the road when many of us will no longer be here, but our city will still be thriving. So I would hope that you would put your support behind me. And if you have any questions at all, please contact me directly. I'll give out my cell phone, 303-907-6995. I am someone who always returns all of my emails, all of my phone calls, and any letters that I receive. So I am somebody who will listen. I will also be there and accessible for you. And I want to see our community to continue to be accessible and have good internet service. So I do believe that I am the best person for the job, and I will work very hard for you.
Thank you very much. Is Stephen Cervantes here? No? Okay. Okay, from here on, I have quite a list of questions, and you will have 1 minute to answer, which isn't a lot of time. If you can't quite finish, you're going to have a time at the end, your closing remarks. Maybe you can finish a thought then. We're going to try to, we won't be real strict, but I would like you to end as close to 1 minute as possible. And then after after we're done with this part and you give your closing remarks, then I would like the 4 of you to go and sit in the audience, and then the city council members will come up and take your place. So we'll try to do that in a fairly good time, and then they can answer their questions. Okay, the first question, and I'm going to start at one end, and the next time I might start at the other end, and the next time I might start in the middle, so I'll kind of try to mix it up. Jan, what is Thornton's biggest challenge right now, today?
I think Thornton's biggest issue right now is water. As we're growing to become a larger community, we need to make sure that we have water security for our community. I've been working with Larimer County, with Weld County, with city staff, and making sure that our pipeline gets constructed in a quick and efficient manner that is saving money for our community, because we need water in order to make sure that we have our growth. Right now, we're really happy to say it's on track. We're working very hard to make sure that we're good stewards of the water, that we're working with the communities in order to bring the water to the city, because we want to make sure that our residents don't have to worry about water when they're going forward. We've seen other communities struggle through that process, and it's very important that Thornton stays a place that people are comfortable living in, and that we don't have to raise fees in order to make that happen. So definitely water is our largest issue going forward, and I'm happy to say we're working really hard on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to take the next question? I mean, would you like to answer that same question?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. You can tell that Jan and I sit in the same meetings on Tuesday nights because I agree, water is the most important issue right now. We've got the biggest project in the history of the city of Thornton right now with our Northern Water Project, 75-mile pipeline that we need to make sure we secure. We've had those rights since the 80s, and one of the people that was part of helping that, I see in the audience there, Matt Goodman, was on the council at that time. So we need to make sure we bring that water here because development is going to continue to happen here in Thornton. And right now, the experts are telling us that if we don't have that water here in the next 5 years, we have to basically put a no vacancy sign in the city of Thornton. So it's a very critical project. Thanks.
Okay. James?
I agree with Eric and Jan. One of our most concern is, I think, is the water, and we need to work with other cities like Westminster, Arvada, and the northern suburbs to work together to get more water to our community, and we need to prevent more increased fees for our residents.
Okay. Beth?
Thank you. Water is part of our infrastructure. It's a big infrastructure project, and I do agree with the other city council members that have stated that water is very important, but also our roads. And the infrastructure pipeline that we're wanting to build from up in Larimer County, that is something that prior councils and the council that I sat on, the two councils that I sat on, worked very diligently to get to the place where the current council was able to move forward. Unfortunately, we've had a roadblock with Larimer County, and so that is something that is, it was a little hiccup in the road, but it's something that we need to work on because water is the lifeline of our entire state, and our state has to give water to other states. So we need to protect those rights, and we had those rights back in the 80s, and to bring pristine water for you guys to be able to have in our city so that we don't have to spend a lot of money cleaning water.
Okay. I also forgot to mention, I have some lightning questions, and I'll throw those in between some of these other questions, and they will just be yes and no questions. Okay. Let's start with Beth, and we'll go on to question number 2. How will you balance your personal and city commitments in order to be fair to both?
Well, as I said in my opening statements, I have the support of my husband to be a full-time mayor. Because our city is growing so large at a rapid rate, and there are a lot of projects and a lot of things that are going on with the city right now. So it's really become a time when we need to have somebody who can be here full-time with their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the city, that can be actively engaged with other communities, can be engaged with regional partners, all of the stakeholders that we deal with as a municipality on your behalf. Somebody who can be there and be there every day, and that's my commitment. So I have the time, I will make the time, I will be there for you, and I will continue to put the citizens, all of you, and the city first. And my husband has agreed to that and knows why I'm doing that, because he knows I work very, very hard to try to make a difference for all of you.
Okay. Go ahead.
I would make sure I would make a commitment to serve my community with the needs of my residents. I will be here consistently. I will not have any conflicts of interest in my other job or other commitments. I'll make sure I listen to the residents. I'll respond to their email. I'll call them back. I'll do anything to serve the residents of Thornton. And in doing this, I would attend events that the city has, or even other communities near Thornton too, like Westminster, and work with them and kind of work together with the residents.
Okay. Eric?
Thank you. When I was in college, I wrote a paper called Struggling and Juggling, the Tasks of a Single Parent. And so I've been struggling and juggling since I was 19 years old and when I became a single dad. So I know what it's like to do this job for the last 7 years. I've been on city council, so I've got a job that's very flexible. I set my own hours with my job. I work as much as I want or as little as I want. So the commitment I'm very well aware of because I've been the mayor pro tem. I served on several external boards and committees, and so I know what the demand looks like, and I'm willing to do it, and my employer is fully behind me too. Thanks.
Okay. Jan?
So being a member of the city council is a unique experience that I think until you're up here, you don't really understand the commitment that it takes to be part of it. And for the last 6 years, I've had that opportunity to learn and to grow. And for the last 2 years, I've been the mayor pro tem. And as our current mayor transformed from a student into a full-time working mom, she needed additional help for the last 2 years for the city council meetings. And so I have learned the last 2 years what that commitment of being mayor is like. And it's been an exciting experience. It's something that I take very seriously. I work very hard in both my professional world and my city council world. And I'm a working mom. We know how to juggle things. It's a little crazy, but we know exactly what we need to do to work with our family, with our support structure, to make it happen. And I'm really excited for the opportunity to do that as mayor.
Okay, thank you. Question number 3 is, and I think we'll go with Jan this time. Do you have experience with team building or organizing groups? If so, expand on an example.
So I think everybody has experience with team building from the time we're in middle school to the time we get up into college and into our professional world. On the city council, we work in teams all the time. It doesn't seem like that all the time, but I think a lot of the dialogue that we have is actually pushing each other to get better. At work, I work with teams because that's how we get better. That's how we find improvement. I've actually worked with teams at a high school recently. I was a volunteer at Horizon this last year working on the Big Idea Project, teaching high school kids how to work in teams in order to make their product that was going to help save the environment, something that was more useful and sustainable for the community. And it's an exciting time to be part of the community. It's exciting to work in teams, and I love the disagreement and I love the dialogue because it helps us get so much better.
Okay, Eric?
Yeah, my experience with team building has been best learned here on city council. We've got 9 strong personalities on this council, and in order to get anything done, you have to collaborate with each other. We took a council retreat one time. We used to call them advances back in the day. And we took a retreat where we took a strength finder test, and my strength was being a collaborator. And so I really took that to heart after that meeting and have really led with that attitude of being a collaborator and bringing us all together. We're not going to always all agree, but I think if everybody has at least their opportunity to have their voice heard, then at least they feel like the process is fair and they can maybe buy into the end result. Thanks.
Okay. James?
Yeah, I've been part of teams ever since I've been like in grade school and middle school. Just recently, I've been part of a team. I collaborated with a team that won national championships. And I was able to be consistent. I was always at the practices. I always supported the team. I've been a member of a couple committees. I've been in Flatiron Crossing Transportation Committee. I helped develop certain ideas, collaborated with them. Also, I was involved with Emergency Preparedness Committee, and I helped contribute in that committee with University of Colorado.
Okay. Beth?
Thank you. I have worked very hard and collaborated with a variety of different people in different settings. As a state senator, you have to get all the stakeholders together, and you have to try to get them as a working group and team to come to agreement on whatever it is the policy is that you're trying to put forward, that it's supposed to be the best policy for the greater good of the people. As a teacher and a former educator, you have to try to get those students together and understand what the working dynamics are when you have a very diverse group of people. So I'm a great facilitator. I collaborate, but I can also be somebody who can help lead the conversation and bring people back together when things are going awry and folks aren't necessarily on the same page. So on city council, I had that experience as well, working together. But I think in your everyday life, you have to form teams, whether they're 1 or 2 people or several people, because that's what life requires.
Okay. Let's just stick a lightning question in here. We'll start with Beth. Are you in favor of Proposition CC on the Colorado ballot?
You're talking about Tabor. And I've had this question come up quite a few times when I've been knocking on doors. A lot of people don't understand what Tabor is all about. There are good arguments on both sides as to why we should have it and why we shouldn't. Many municipalities and counties have found loopholes to get around the Tabor law, but as a state legislator in the state Senate, I did see where Colorado weathered the last recession very well, simply because we had a different tax structure here that was helping protect us. We put $250 million into K through 12 education, and we continue to do that in the legislature. So Tabor was kind of a guardrail for things, and I support Tabor because I think that we do need to have guardrails, that we can't just have carte blanche for everything and spend, spend, spend.
Okay. This was really a yes and no question, but that's okay. If you want to elaborate on your answer, go ahead.
I'm for Tabor.
This isn't on Tabor, though. It's
No,
it's a
no.
more narrow question.
No.
Okay. No. Okay. Eric.
Yes, I'm for Prop CC.
Okay.
I'm a no on Prop CC. I don't think we're able to trust our state government to be able to manage the money the way that they've promised over the last few years. I'm disappointed in how they've handled it. I can't support CC in the form that it's in today.
Okay.
Can I elaborate a little bit, since I thought
Sure.
this was a lightning round and I tried to follow the rules, but I'm going to elaborate just a little bit too, that, you know, the reality is that the state is second to last in funding for public education. And what while Tabor may have been well-intended, it's handcuffing governments from, especially local governments, but it's handcuffing governments from funding the needs that, you know, that we have. And this will fund education and it will fund roads. So I don't see how anybody can be opposed to that, but I just wanted to elaborate.
Okay. Okay. The next question, and this time we'll start with Jan. If you could accomplish 3 things during your term in office, what would they be?
So I think I covered it a little bit in my opening statement. Transportation is a huge thing. I want to make sure we have I-25 in a passable manner. I've been working very closely with CDOT on the safety schedule that they've been doing. I mean, I've noticed every week now we've had accidents that shut down that interstate, and it's unacceptable for the amount of money that our community has put into it. So transportation, of course, is one of my priorities. Managing growth responsibly in the city is also extremely important. We've seen unprecedented growth in the city over the last few years. And as we're working for water to make sure we can support our growth, we need to make sure that we're also balancing that with things for the community to do. Because Thornton's priority needs to be a place where we can live, work, and play to be part of this community. And then, of course, public safety. I know that members of the council all supported this, and I was a huge proponent of it, bringing 42 additional police officers, 52 police officers in, and 14 additional firefighters. I mean, it's something that we should have been doing a long time ago. I was extremely supportive of this. I'm glad we brought it up, but I think there's more work to be done.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
So I think my experience in the funeral business has really taught me to focus on people's emotions and feelings. So what I want to accomplish more than anything right now is to have a community that feels like they're heard and that they are respected and that their voice matters whenever they come to our council meetings or engage us in any way. So that's number one. We got to make sure that relationship's healthy. Speaking of relationships, I'd like to bridge the divide between the north and the south part of the city. You know, I think if I'm elected mayor, I'll have a town hall meeting with the entire city involved, all wards, all council members involved. I think that's lacking right now, and we need to have the community understand each other and understand what our differences are and where we agree, and just hear from each other. I mean, you'll learn a lot when you just open your ears and listen to what other people's problems are. And then third is transportation. I mean, we've got the commuter rail coming through the city of Thornton, and that's going to create lots of challenges, but also opportunities. So we just got to be real smart about that. Thanks.
Okay, James? 3 things.
I would say managing growth, in which managing growth is being able to sustain water, make sure we get clean water to our residents. A second would be communication, kind of sort of like Eric said, you know, I kind of noticed the communication between mayor, city council, and residents is lacking the past 2-3 years. I have kind of experienced this as a resident, and I would change that. I would have more town meetings, better communication, not just through the city voice or internet or the website. I would expand on that and have kind of town halls and communication. And third probably would be managing budget as well. We need a rainy day fund, kind of, we gotta make sure we can't overspend.
Okay. Beth?
So transportation's a big one, and the citizens of Thornton have been paying into RTD with the hopes of getting light rail since 2004, and now we're being told that there may be further delays even into late next year, which may turn into another year. So I'm going to be a very strong advocate and voice to try to see why we can't get funding to finish that up to Highway 7, because it will be the most, it will have the highest ridership of all the lines once it is totally completed. And RTD owned that right-of-way for a long time. So that's something that our citizens deserve. Economic development and making sure that we have smart growth is one of the things that I keep hearing at doors, that people really want us to make sure that we are providing services for the city and making sure that those things that are needed by our citizens are available, and that we are communicating what those are. I do believe, too, that we need to communicate a lot better. We need to build a sense of community, and that's what I'm hoping to do, is build a sense of community where everybody feels a part of this city. We are a very diverse city, and we're a great city and a wonderful place to live. So I'll be working very hard on all of those things.
Okay. This time, let's start with Eric. What is your position on open space that may or may not be needed in the city of Thornton?
Well, we're pretty lucky right now. We have quite a bit of open space, and we work very closely with the county because the county provides a grant that allows us to maintain and provide more open space. So, I mean, obviously, I'd like to see more of it, and more maybe in some certain areas where it's acceptable, some recreational activity that can happen in that area. But I'm definitely in favor of open space.
Okay. James?
I'm for open space, and in which we have open space, we need to build more parks. And I know it's coming to a few of these council meetings. We need a few more tennis courts because I understand our recreation for families, parks and like swing sets and different things for children and families to go to. And we also need to probably manage if there's any like wastewater, any leftover water area to make sure there's no flooding in these open spaces.
Okay. Jan?
Sure. I'm a big proponent of open space. It is critical to our community to maintain open space throughout the community. We are listed as one of the playful cities in USA specifically because of the opportunities we have with our open space. We manage that through drainage projects, through wildlife projects, making sure that there's opportunities for the community to grow around the open space. It's something that that as a city council we've actually been big proponents of. We utilize the Adams County grants, as Eric said, making sure that we can work together with our community. It's about not just being Thornton, it's about connections to Adams County, to North Glen, to Westminster, and to Broomfield. It's an important part of our community.
Okay. Beth?
Open space has always been something that's critical, I think, to not just our city, but all cities. And the former councils and councils that I sat on were very, very active and proactive in making sure that we have our string of pearls, is what the trail system is called, because we do connect to many, many other communities around us. One of the complaints I'm hearing right now is that Ward 1 does not have a dog park, that we need more open space with the building that's going on up north. That can sometimes be problematic because of the availability of land that can be purchased by the citizens in the city to actually become open space. People don't want just pocket parks, they want other open space that's truly open space. So I think the city councils that have served you up to this point have been very proactive in making sure that we have open space, and I will continue to protect that and make sure that we have it as we continue to grow in our northern community.
Okay. Thank you. I got all four of you, didn't I? I think so. The next question, and we'll start this time with Beth. In what ways can you see how to work with the police department to improve social issues such as self-defense, domestic violence, and teen suicide, all of which are very important problems that we have in the metro area.
Right, and I do want to say right away that our police department and our fire department, but specifically our police department, we have very well-trained officers. They go through a lot of training with regards to mental health issues, with regards to some of the other issues that were just mentioned, domestic violence. I was a graduate of the Citizens Police Academy, so I had done ride-alongs. I have seen what they do firsthand as a person that has ridden with them. So they are very, very proactive in making sure they are up to date on everything that is available as far as resources and services, that once you do go into a situation, that they are able to provide those people with the resources as they're taking care of perhaps an issue that is occurring. Suicide prevention, mental health issues, those are all things that I worked on very hard at the state Senate, and I did a lot of bills that have been helpful for all of Colorado with regards to those issues.
Okay, James?
I think most important thing for us to do is train our police and firemen for prevention of any type of mental health problems with our residents. In doing that, there's training in which they can have for mental health. It's like mental health first aid, and also we just need to support them with more funding with that.
Okay. Eric?
You know, what's unfair is most of society's ills are put on police and fire constantly. They alone can't solve the issues that we face in our communities, and suicide is one of the highest in the state of Colorado and the whole nation. So to get to the root of the problem, we're gonna have to do more than just train our police officers and first responders, which they are very well trained, and we gotta continue that training, but we gotta get to the root of the problem of why. Why do we have such a high suicide rate? Why are we such a violent society? Why are these problems existing in our community? And get to the root of the problem, that way, because it's not up to the police to prevent that. The police, it's like a Band-Aid. They come out there, they try to fix the problem and get out of there, and that's all we should expect of police and fire. You know, that's a societal problem that we all need to work on together.
Okay, Jan?
So our police department is extremely well-trained in this area, but I think that mental health itself starts at the school level. And our school resource officer program in the schools is specifically to help kids before it becomes a problem. Teen suicide is a huge issue in our state. I think our school resource officers, with their training, have been able to work with the kids to teach them how to ask for help, because that's one of the hardest problems. Mental health in our society is a huge issue, and I actually suffer from anxiety, and I've had to learn how to ask for help. And the police officers in our schools are a great resource to ask for that help. Once the kids know they can ask for help, it can go into the community and solve other issues. And we've worked really hard with community policing so that the community members don't feel afraid of our police officers, so they can have someone to go ask for help. And giving some support and funding to these agencies that have an outreach program is a great opportunity to solve the problem.
Okay. The next question, we'll start with Jan this time. What are your plans in working with council and staff to protect and support community members who are struggling with social issues such as homelessness and finding affordable housing?
So I think that affordable housing is a huge problem all over the Denver metro area. And on the council, we talk to it as attainable, because what we don't want to do is put a stigma to anyone that has to live in a housing area that costs less than somebody else. Our staff has done a great job training us to understand that when we purchase property or a developer purchases property, that property costs the same, whether it's a full-priced house or it's attainable housing or affordable housing. And so we've got to figure out ways to partner with areas, with groups, to bring attainable housing into the community so that nobody feels the stigma of having to go into those lower-income homes. We want everybody to feel part of our community instead of separate from.
Okay. Eric, I can repeat the question if you...
No, that's okay. This, what we're talking about is my jam, as Jacque would say. I'm on the board of directors for Adams County Housing Authority, formerly Adams County Housing Authority, now known as Unison Housing Partners. I was the chair of that organization, and affordable housing is very near to my heart. And we did a housing needs assessment where we see we are lacking quite a bit of affordable housing. And what I've learned is there's so many challenges to that. And a lot of this goes, like the problem, it's bigger than the city of Thornton. So when we go to DC every month, or every March, this council, we go there and we advocate for more funding and more flexibility with the funding we do receive. But there are issues as far, I don't want to go too much into the weeds, but there are issues why we don't have affordable housing north of 120th that we can ask the federal level. It's actually the IRS that sets this standard, and we can actually continue to advocate so that we can tear down those barriers to make it a possibility to build affordable housing north of 120th.
Okay. James?
Can you repeat the question, please?
What are your plans in working with council and staff to protect and support community members who are struggling with social issues such as homelessness and finding affordable housing?
I would support anybody that would need those services, in which I would tap into like any nonprofits that I know of, kind of introduce them to like any type of groups or nonprofits that way they can help them with their affordable housing, and just be supportive in that way.
Okay. Beth?
So we're seeing more homelessness in our city now than we used to, and that's because a lot of the homeless are now being pushed out to the suburbs in the metro area. And we don't have any shelters in our city, but we have always had programs where we worked with our faith-based community and the nonprofits to make sure that folks have a place to go and stay, especially when there's inclement weather, but also families can go to and stay. So we work very closely with the faith-based community as well as the nonprofit groups to make sure that we're trying to get folks the help that they need. If they need mental services, mental health services, that we've got resources for that too with Community Reach and others. Attainable housing, I say affordable attainable housing too, because affordable housing means a wide range of things to a variety of people. But our rents and our housing prices are too high, so the developers would like us to see that we work together with them to maybe look at our policies and make things a little more flexible so that they can bring in housing that will actually be sort of new thought types of housing, but affordable and attainable for not only young people, but everyone in between that wants to have a home in Thornton.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to do one more lightning round, and this one has to do with another item on the ballot. Are you in favor of ballot 6A, which is the Anythink Library District? Jan?
Yes.
Okay. Eric?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Being in the library industry, I do support this, and they're wonderful people. When I was collecting my ballot signatures, they're very supportive, and I stayed out in the front there porch, and I collected, and I do, yes.
Okay, thank you. Beth?
Being a teacher and loving libraries, I am supporting it.
Okay. Okay, now we'll do our ending closing remarks, and you have a minute, or you can take a little bit more, but not much. So let's start with Beth.
Okay. I'm very passionate about working and being a public servant. And I have been a public servant for the past 11 years. And that is something that is near and dear to my heart. I want to see our community thrive. I want to see our community feel like everybody is included and one, and rather than having a split between the city of North and South. That's not healthy for a city. I will be working very, very hard for you, full-time, and I will listen to you. I will have an open door policy so that anyone at any time can come and meet with me, or I can come to you if you're not able to come and meet with me. But I want to work together to try to bring back a sense of community, because we have a very diverse community, and make sure everybody is included in the decision-making processes that wants to be, and at least that their ideas and thoughts are being communicated, and that the city and the city council are being more transparent for everyone. So one of the things that I'd also like to do is make sure that we get our planning sessions in the chamber or televised in real time, because that's where all of the nitty-gritty question and answers, discussion comes about regarding every issue that comes before the city. And many people ask, why does city council just go in and vote? It's because all of that discussion has happened at a planning session, and since you are the investors of this business, which is your city business, you have a right to hear everything and know what's going on and have people respond to you, and I will do that.
Okay. James?
Yeah, I would, as a public servant, I would serve the people, and in doing this, I would try to increase a better sense of community and communication between the residents, whether or not you live in North, South, Central, Thornton. And I noticed recently it's been lacking, and I want to change that. And since I've been in, public sector, working for the university, I think I have experience with working with diverse set of people and different age ranges. And I just had, probably about 7, 8 years ago, I just had this calling to be a public servant. And I think I'll do a good job in doing that.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
Well, again, thank you everybody for being here tonight. I hope this was informative. I hope you learned a little bit more about us, and you'll be more informed when you go vote this. Well, hopefully you've already got your ballots. The reason I'm running again is Thornton's at a crossroads, so this is the time to get involved. We got to make sure we empower the community voice in city council, and know that, like I said at the beginning, that the residents are respected and that they're listened to. If you have questions that weren't answered tonight, please visit montoyaforthornton.com. All my contact information's on there. Feel free to reach out to me and ask any specific questions you might have. But I ask for your support, and I ask for you to entrust me to be the mayor of this great city for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Jan?
This election season has been interesting. So 2 years ago, when I ran for re-election, it was a hard conversation at the door. There were a lot of things happening in the community at that time, and there were a lot of conversations that needed to happen at that time. And it was not friendly all the time. And so my response to that has always been, my door is open, my phone is ready, my emails are ready, and anybody can come talk to me. This year, as I'm running, I'm talking all over the city, not just in Ward 4. And what I've seen is that everybody in this community has the same idea of what they want. They want a thriving community, not just surviving, but thriving. And it's been really fun to talk to everybody all over the community about the different things, because everybody cares about that stop sign down the street that they hate, or the speed cushions, as we call them, that are falling apart, or how they get to walk to the store instead of having to drive everywhere. And it's been fun talking about ideas and solutions, and I've really appreciated how open and friendly everyone has been. And I'm really excited to earn your support and your vote this November, and feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you.
Okay. Let's give these candidates a round of applause. Okay, thank you. If you would make your way to the audience, and if the other city council candidates who are here come up to the front, and we'll try to direct you to where you will sit. Okay. I'll explain the ground rules in case you weren't here. I don't know if you were or not. We're going to have a 3-minute time for introducing yourself. So be sure you say your name loudly and clearly so everybody knows who you are and what ward you're from. And then you can say whatever you want to about yourself to introduce yourself. And then we'll have questions which have come from the city and from some other candidate forums that we've done in other cities. And those will be 1-minute answers, and you'll have the timer. You'll be able to see the timer counting down. Try to keep within the time limit. And then we'll, in between some of these questions, we'll have lightning questions, which are just yes and no. Do you or don't you? And so that will just be a quick one. Okay, so let's start with and I don't know who you are. What's your? I have the ballot, and your name was cut off on this ballot, this copy of the ballot. So what is your?
I have a conspiracy theory about those things. My name is Jacque Phillips. Did you want me to
Okay,
start?
Jackie. Okay, yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you to the League of Women Voters and to Marge for being the moderator, and for Mary Payne to bringing the idea to council. I'm Jacque Phillips. I'm running for re-election for Ward 1, Thornton City Council. I grew up in Chicago. I have 4 brothers. After my dad left, my mom raised us by herself, and we starved until my mom got a union job. Go Teamsters. That was literally why we had food on the table, and I know that picket line very well. I was a high school dropout and a teenage mom. I waited a lot of tables, and I finally graduated from Ames Community College in 1980-something. And I worked my way through University of Northern Colorado, a bachelor's, a master's, and a doctorate. I taught kids for a very long time, and then I went to University of Denver Law School. I'm currently a civil rights attorney. I protect students with disabilities, and I work to stop the school-to-prison pipeline and bullying in schools. After I got my doctorate, I was working at the American Embassy School in Nairobi, Kenya, when it was bombed in 1998. I was a professor at Adams State College in the beautiful San Luis Valley, and I speak Spanish like Cory Booker. Yo hablo español 5 palabras, más o menos. That's super funny if you speak Spanish. I risked my life in Saudi Arabia creating the first ever international teacher licensing program for Saudi women, and I'm dedicated to justice and empowering all people. As a Thornton City Council member, we passed the toughest oil and gas regulations in the state, and then we got sued. But we stayed in the lawsuit, we got some clarification, and we made some gains because that's justice. Ward 1 has the most kids, but the least open space and parks and rec. We're all paying for the $50 million rec center up north, and we know they appreciate it. I'm working for our kids to have equal opportunity for access to parks and rec because that is justice. Ward 1 generates the most sales tax in the city, and I work for equal opportunity for Ward 1, so we're not left behind. We support all of Thornton with our economic contributions, and I work to be sure we also get the benefit, because that's justice. We don't have balanced housing in Thornton. The majority of Ward 1 housing is multifamily housing and mobile home communities. I worked hard to get water assistance, graffiti removal, garbage service that we never had before if we didn't live in a single family home, because that's justice. I need your vote to get reelected so we can continue our work for South Thornton. Ward 1 is organized. We have focus groups, HOA groups, community leaders. They're here tonight. I was going to have them stand up. Thank you. I'm running out of time. Mostly we have people that care about Thornton, and we will continue to make Thornton a better place for everyone because that is justice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tamara Pierce.
Hi, my name is Tamara Pierce, and I'm running for City Council for Ward 2. Thornton must become a leader statewide on affordable housing, attainable housing, because affordable housing has a negative connotation. And growing responsibly, our city must ensure that housing is affordable and attainable to all who wish to reside in our great city. Our city must expand access to great parks. No matter your income or social status, I will ensure that access to our great parks is universal to all. Thornton must work with communities to do what is best for them. My 30-plus years of experience in the community will help in the constant fight for community involvement, whether it be expanding community events and boards or ensuring that the community can hold City Council responsible for any decision. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. You are being the difference we want to see in our community. I am Tamara Pierce, running for City Council, Ward 2. Thank you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm also a mother, a grandmother to be 6, actually 7 grandmother. I have owned my own businesses. I have worked with the Treasury, CIA. I guess I have the highest security clearance that a civilian can have, or should I say did have, because I no longer do that. I do care about our city, and I've been involved. And when I was a massage therapist, it wasn't about me. It was about the client. So me being a city councilwoman isn't about me. It's about the city. Thank you.
Okay. Julia.
Hi, everybody. My name is Julia Marvin, and I'm running for Ward 2 for Thornton City Council. So my family's lived in Thornton for over 50 years, and so this community has always held a special place in my heart. Some of my favorite memories as a kid were being at my grandma's house and riding down the street on my bike and playing with my cousins. And so when my husband and I were able to buy our first home thanks to a first-time home buyers grant program, we knew that we wanted to put our roots somewhere that had an amazing community, and so that's why we chose Thornton. I believe that we all have a responsibility to ourselves, our families, and our community to make where we live a better place. And so my parents instilled that in me at a young age, and so I've always been very involved. Once we moved to Thornton, that's when I started to get really involved here. I volunteered for different candidates that were running for office, different nonprofits. I also served on the Thornton Assistance Fund Committee and the Thornton Idea Exchange, and I also became the chair of a group that was working to get young people civically involved. That was really my passion. That's really what I wanted to do, was to get more people involved in the community. And so I tried to create a chapter that was really engaging, really focused on advocacy, and also was welcoming and issues focused. And so during that time, with that approach, we were able to increase our membership by 300%. And so that's something that I'm really proud of even to this day. Serving on all of these committees and working in the community, I have had the chance to meet a lot of people and talk to a lot of people about what matters to them. And local elections and who we choose to represent us, it truly matters. These are the people that are making the decisions that are going to be impacting our day-to-day lives. And so I decided to run for office because if the city is going to thrive, it needs to have a government that works for the people and not just special interests or those who are well-connected. So if I'm elected, you can count on me to make sure that our government is more accessible to everyone through increased communications, transparency, and engagement. I also really want to work to create a strong economy that is working for the workers and is also supporting our small businesses and our entrepreneurs. My parents owned a small restaurant the entire time I was growing up, so I know how hard that can be on a family. I also want to make sure that we're keeping our neighborhoods safe, clean, and affordable, and that we're also preserving our environment and our open space and protecting the health and safety of our citizens. Thornton is a really great place to live, but we still have some work to do to make sure that we're creating a city that is forward-thinking and provides opportunities for everyone to have a good life. I hope that you'll consider voting for me in this upcoming election, and together we can build a better Thornton. Thank you.
Okay. Jessica.
Hello, I'm Jessica Troy. I'm running in Ward 3. I am an Army veteran and a horticulturist. I own a small gardening business here in Thornton. And I moved here officially in 2011 when I married my husband. But as a kid, my whole extended family lived here in the South Thornton area, a few people in kind of the Federal Heights area. So growing up, I spent a lot of time here. I grew up in Littleton, but Thornton was always kind of my second home. So like many of us here in this audience, I'm sure I have seen a lot of changes take place over the course of my life. We're still seeing a lot of changes take place. And that is really kind of why I'm running. I'm not a person who's opposed to change. In fact, I tend to think if things stay exactly the same for too long, that's kind of indicative that something might be wrong. But at the same time, I recognize that change can go a lot of different ways if it's not thoughtfully managed. Thornton is experiencing a ton of growth right now, and it's not hard to understand why. Thornton is an amazing city. One of my favorite things about living here is what a welcoming and down-to-earth community it is, and I would not want to change that for the world. But if we want to keep welcoming in new neighbors and friends, and I hope that we do, we need to make sure that we are doing it in ways that are not going to create traffic nightmares. We want to make sure that we are keeping our streets safe for all uses. We need to make sure that we're mitigating pollution, that we are making wise use of our resources like water. We want to make sure we are growing a balanced economy with businesses that are actually rooted in our community. And most importantly, we want to make sure that no matter how much we grow and change, that we are always working to preserve the unique character and vibrancy that made all of us fall in love with Thornton. And I know that all of this is possible if we're willing to look outside of the suburban bedroom community box and look at what the research says about smart growth. So that is the perspective that I would like to bring to City Council, and I look forward to earning your vote. Thank you.
Okay. Curtis.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters. Thank you to the City of Thornton, and thank you, Mary, and thank you whoever told Mary that she couldn't get this done. My name is Curtis Kowalski, and I'm running for Thornton City Council in Ward 4. I'm a 15-year resident of Thornton. My wife and I moved here 15 years ago. She's actually a Colorado native. You could probably tell from the way I talk that I'm actually from the South, from East Tennessee. So I'm South and Jackie's North, I think, because she's from Chicago. But anyway, I have 2 kids, 10 and 5 elementary school students here in Thornton. And I realized a few years ago the importance of getting involved in the community. We had some issues at my son's school. It was serious enough that I actually had to move him out of the school. But as I heard from other parents at the school, I felt that this wasn't something that I could walk away, that I could actually do something for kids and make a difference. And so I got involved, and without getting into a lot of details about it, I'll just say that I think the result was good, the outcome was good. I went to Adam's 12 board meetings, and I heard a lot of people from the community say that the school was better for having been through the process. So I'm really proud of what we did there. Since then, I've gotten involved in an anti-bullying charity called the Bullying Recovery Resource Center. We help kids who are in serious need, and their parents in serious need, to the point of being suicidal because of some of the intense bullying they face at school. And we advocate for their parents and try to help them out. And I'm really proud of that work. And 3 of the things that I hope to accomplish in the next 4 years. First is to bring some leadership and civility to the City Council. I am committed to working with people that I disagree with. I think that disagreement is good. I work in the software industry. We put people in a room all the time, so the best teams I've been on, we all disagreed about how to approach a problem. We got to our common ground, and we solved the problem ultimately. I'm concerned about health and safety here in Thornton on all levels, but in particular in Ward 4, the oil and gas industry. I hear that a lot. A lot of folks are concerned about how close that is to our homes and what the risks are. And I'm actually happy to hear some great news out of the state today that will address the oil and gas industry. And then finally, I think the third thing is just looking at better planning for the city of Thornton, more strategic, less reactive. What I see going on, what I hear about door to door a lot is that a lot of times it seems like the infrastructure, traffic kinds of things get taken care of after the fact. And so I'd really like to look at the data, also look at, from an affordable housing standpoint, look at the job market, look at what we need to do. I support the control of a local control of the minimum wage. Look at what we need to do so that we can have more people who work in Thornton be able to live here, and also have people who live here be able to work here. So thank you, and I look forward to the questions tonight.
Okay. You took one of my questions.
Sorry.
Question number 1, and we'll start with Jacque. What is Thornton's biggest issue or challenge right now, today, and how would you attempt to solve it?
Thank you for the question. There are the overall big picture ones that the mayors respond to, transportation and water, but I would like to address Ward 1 specifically. Having knocked on 90% of the doors in Ward 1, this is my second time doing that. And so what I know from the neighborhood is that the main concern right now, Thornton Shopping, to really drill down Thornton Shopping Center, but in general, The main concern is about the comprehensive plan and to Curtis's point about planning and the fear that that in Ward 1 that we're not going to get the development that we want. The things that we worked on since 2007 when we did the STAR plan, the revitalization, Ward 1 has already come together as a community. We know what we want in Ward 1, and so the biggest issue for us right now is just being sure that we have the right people on council that are going to support us so that we get what we want in Ward 1 and it doesn't look like something that's not beneficial for Ward 1.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Julia, let's go to you next. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Oh, no, that's okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been knocking doors for the past several months, and the same issues keep coming up at every single door, and it's growth. That's what people are concerned about. We're growing so fast. We're already the 6th largest city in Colorado, and we're growing even more because people are realizing that this is a really great place to live. And so that's what we need to do is we need to be addressing that growth. And that's a lot of different things. That's making sure that we have attainable housing for people, and that can come through us looking at different ways, what different types of housing we have, what different programs we have to get people into housing. It's also our transportation. How are we connecting our communities and our roads and our cities? It's looking at jobs and making sure that we have good, well-paying jobs for people and that we're supporting, like I said, local businesses and encouraging that community. And so it's taking a look at all of those things and looking at it from a big picture and how they're all connected so that we're being smart with how we grow and we're making decisions that are good for the community, both now but also in the future.
Okay. Tamara, do you want me to repeat the question?
No.
Okay.
So I've actually been coming to the planning meetings, and I have been knocking on doors. And one is the water, but the other is, I agree with Jacque that her ward is being neglected. And so I would help, to get that ward what they need. I don't think it's fair that East Lake should be getting something and Ward 1's not getting nothing. And so I would help Ward 1 do that. That's all I have.
Okay. Jessica?
So with respect to all the mayoral candidates who talked about water, water is a super big deal, so I don't want to brush that under the rug, but definitely what I'm hearing at the doors from citizens is concerns about growth. And people express it in a lot of different ways. People are super worried about traffic and street safety. Street safety is probably the number one thing I hear. People are also really concerned that when their kids grow up, are they going to be able to afford to live here when they grow up? That is something I'm hearing pretty frequently from people. So, ultimately, I think the biggest thing we're facing is, how are we going to plan for all of this? Growth is not just people moving here. Growth is our kids. Growth is our neighbors. We need to make sure that we are planning appropriately for all of this.
Okay. Curtis?
Well, this is exciting because I think we're unanimous here. We have some common ground because I also agree that growth is probably the biggest concern for most people in Thornton. It's certainly an issue in Ward 4 where we're we've got a lot of space there to grow yet, and so people are talking about things like traffic. The folks in the East Lake neighborhood are talking about things like the train station and new development around that. And I think it goes back to the common theme, which is careful planning. And it's, hopefully getting ahead of things and putting the infrastructure that we need in place as we're building the city out.
Okay. Let's go backwards this time. Curtis, what skills do you believe you bring to the council that will be beneficial?
So I kind of alluded to this before. I work in the software industry, and so it's kind of an engineering type job, right? And so complex systems, just like we have a complex system city to put together. But the biggest thing about it is the leadership background that I have in terms of dealing really with folks who have a different point of view on how to get things done. working in the IT industry, it's a very creative process, and you have a lot of people who come to the table with a lot of different ideas. And that's actually, I think, a really good thing, because all the different perspectives, diverse priorities, I think, help us end up with a good finished product. And so I pride myself in working with folks with differences of opinion and finding the common ground that we have and getting things done. And I think that's going to be a very important skill to have for anyone who's on the city council.
Okay, Jessica?
So I think my military experience has given me a great deal of experience with working in high-stress situations and working with teams and being able to collaborate. But my military experience in particular, I was in the Army National Guard, and I served as a public affairs representative. So my job was to represent my fellow soldiers to the rest of the world, to listen to their stories and to communicate them to everyone else. So I have special skills in listening and communicating messages. So I feel like I would be a good liaison between the community and the city. I feel like I'm good at breaking down jargon for people, helping people understand complex issues. That's what the Army trained me to do. I can translate from government to civilian pretty good, and I think that that will be a useful skill for me here on council.
Okay. Tamara?
So, working with the Treasury and being a massage therapist and business owner, I bring those skills. One, being able to work, with a team, bringing them together so that everybody is heard, and even at council meetings, so that people are heard. And again, it's not about me, it's about the city, but also being in a trustworthy, because I used to, carry $24 million. You have to be pretty trustworthy. So I think that that is a skill that you do have to be part of council.
Okay. Julia?
Yeah, so I've been working in public outreach and communications for about 10 years. I've worked in the public sector, and I've also worked in the private sector in a lot of different fields, in healthcare and technology, in startups and nonprofits. And so I've seen a lot of different things, and I've worked in a lot of different environments. And I've worked in a lot of fast-paced environments. And so I think being able to adapt and listen to people is really important, and it's good skills to have. But most importantly, working in communications and public outreach, a lot of my job has always been to listen to people, to go out into the community, and to give them the information that they need to be able to make decisions and to make decisions that better their lives, but also to listen and to take that feedback and to use that to create a better product or a better service. And so that's what I'll bring to this role is making sure that I'm listening, but also that I'm communicating, because that's really important. And it's not just communicating at the beginning or the end, it's communicating the entire way through.
Okay. Jacque?
Well, the first important skill is I spent a lot of years teaching kids with behavior management problems, and I think that skill set is important on city council. Thank you. The other skills, actually, they're attorney related. So the first one is, as an attorney, you have to know both sides. And that's a skill set that I bring, is knowing both sides and being able to do that research, understanding both sides of an issue, critical. Another one, I think I'm good at questioning at public hearings. That has served us very well in some of the work that we've done for Ward 1. I'm also trained and experienced in mediation, so I like to think that that skill set helps me in the art of persuasion, which again is very important on city council when you're representing Ward 1. And then the last one is something that we do in the attorney world that I like when it happens on city council is when we can argue and argue during council, but afterwards we can go out and have a beer. And I think that's a great skill. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's do a lightning question. This is just a yes and no, and we'll start with Jacque. Are you in favor of ballot question 6A for the Anythink Library?
Absolutely.
Okay. Julia?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Tamara?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
Curtis?
Yes on 6A.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Next question, let's start with Curtis. How will you balance your personal and city commitments in order to be fair with both?
Great question. 2 words, time management. I'm used to dealing with that a lot with 2 kids and 2 parents who work in my household. The good news for me is that I work, most of the time I work from home and do conference calls and those types of things. And so I save a little bit of time, actually quite a bit of time in the mornings and in the evenings as far as the commute goes. And so I use some of that time that I have back to work on city council. But it really just comes down to time management and prioritizing things.
Okay. Julia?
I'm Jessica.
Oh,
but-
Jessica.
So being a small business owner, I have quite a bit of flexibility in my time, so I can, juggle things and make that work. My husband's also very supportive. He is the supportive spouse who's a little bit introverted, who takes care of the kids at home, and I'm very lucky to have him. However, I do feel like it's worth pointing out, I've had several people say to me over the course of my campaign that they really feel like this should be a full-time job. And it is unfortunate that it takes a certain amount of privilege, like what I have in my job, to be able to run for these positions, given that it's a full-time job. I believe strongly that everyday people should be able to run for office and represent us, and it's just not accessible to most people when it's not being paid as a full-time job. So I just want to put that out there.
Okay. Tamara?
So I too am a small-time business owner, and again, it is time management, and it's also the support of your family, and I do have the support of my family. And my family is also extended family, and it helps to have somebody clean your house, so, got that too. Anyway, and just being committed, and Jessica is right. This is not a 20-hour commitment. This is taking time to go out of town, and my family already knows that, and things have already been placed and set up for those situations to be happen. And when you say you're going to do something, do it.
Okay. Julia?
So when you're passionate about something, you make time for it, and you figure out what that works and how you make it work. And this is something, representing the community and giving back to the community is something that's really important to me. So I'll make time for it. In college, I worked my way through college, took out student loans, and I also went to class full time. I was working 35 hours a week, and I also was interning. So that takes a lot of time management to figure that out, and I'm grateful to still have those skills today. So it's all about time management and making time for what you care about, and this is something that I really care about, and I will make time for.
Okay. Jackie?
Well, first of all, I'm single. It's not an advertisement. It's just a fact. And because of that, my daughter's grown up, and my grandkids are in junior high. So I don't have the at-home commitment. Also, I am a small business owner, just like some of my colleagues here. And because I own the business, then that means that I have a flexible schedule. Usually it means I can flexibly be at my office at midnight, but it does allow me to have time during the day to participate in city council activities. But I would also say that just like everybody sitting here, we're all overachievers, we're all high performers, because that's the kind of people that run for office.
Okay. Another lightning question. Jackie, would you favor putting a moratorium on multifamily housing development?
No.
Okay. Julia?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Curtis?
Looks like it's unanimous again, no.
Okay. Okay. This question has to do with the the social issues of self-defense, domestic violence, and teen suicide. In what ways are you planning to work with the police department to improve these social issues? We'll start with Jacque.
Well, in my other world, this is, as Councilmember Montoya would say, this is my jam. So, because our cases are, we're working with school to prison pipeline, bullying, and suicide cases. So to bring that to a municipal level, I love the question. One of the things that we've worked on in council is working with our municipal court, because often we see kids who are charged in municipal court who have been victims of bullying. And so one of the things we can do at the city level is to make sure that those kids are taken care of, make sure that the restorative justice programs that can be implemented in schools, we can work on that, and we have worked on that. But I would say continue to work on municipal court issues that address juveniles, restorative justice issues that address juveniles. And honestly, we need to work with the adults on social media bullying, because I've always said that social media bullying happening from kids, that starts with the adults. And so again, as a city council member, that one's hard to control. We did recently do a resolution on harassment just within city council members ourselves. So maybe we would need to look at some ways to expand that so that we can get some community-wide focus on it at least.
Okay. Julia, you want me to repeat the question?
Sure, that'd be great.
What are your plans in working with council and staff? No, that's wrong. In what ways are you planning to work with the police department to improve social issues such as self-defense, domestic violence, and teen suicide?
Yeah, so mental health, 1 in 5 Americans have a mental health illness, and so that's pretty prevalent. It's us, it's people we know, and so there's a really big stigma around that. And so part of that is breaking that stigma and talking about it, and especially when we're talking about suicide, creating a space so that people feel comfortable asking and reaching out to their friends to talk about it and to do something about it is really important. In regards to working with the police in the city, a lot of times they're the first people that are making contact with people that might be struggling and might be having issues. So making sure that they know what resources are available and that they're working to get them to the right resources is something that's really important.
Okay, Tamara?
So, I know reporting, is good. I didn't even know this. This really happened in my neighborhood where the bullying happened, and it's unfortunate the young man set himself on fire, and so we're still dealing with that. But I think neighbors, while I was out walking, there was a house that had loads and loads of newspapers and was unattended, and I actually made a report to the police, and I think neighbors being involved, and I mean, why can't you just get a health report? Hey, this house hasn't been, taken care of, la da da, just getting involved.
Okay. Jessica?
So I agree with Julia. Police and firefighters are often the first people to make contact when there's an incident with domestic violence or suicide or those kinds of issues. And it is important that they know about resources that are available and are able to get people help. But it's also important that we have enough resources for the police to be able to take people to in the first place. And I think, Thornton's been doing a real good job with what we've got, but everywhere in the nation is struggling with having enough mental health resources. And, it would be a goal of mine to figure out what we can do to build on what we've got and improve it, because there's always room for improvement.
Okay, Curtis?
So I think your question was specifically directed as to how we would work with the police on these very important issues. And so I guess I would say on that front that, having heard that there are different opinions about maybe what level of training the police have, I would start by asking the police and fire department what they needed from us as a council in order to better address these issues. And I think it just starts right there. Outside of that, I'll say my son he's high-functioning autistic. And as we sought help for him, psychologist help, we were driving to Cherry Creek. It was an hour drive each day because we couldn't find a psychologist in Thornton. And so I think there isn't enough help for mental health, especially for kids here in Thornton. And all of our issues, I think, from a society perspective, start with how we raise our kids. And I like what Jacque said too about how we act and how we treat each other as adults. And so let's start there.
Okay, very good. Okay, I think we'll go to the closing remarks now, and so that's 3 minutes, that's 1 minute. You can try to fit everything that you have to say into 1 minute as best you can. Let's start with Jacque.
Well, since I have 1 minute, two things that I wanted to add. For when I was talking about housing and what we want in Ward 1, no crowded housing. That's what I'm referring to. Number two, I have to do a shout out for Thornton Police Department. They're amazing. Community police, school resource officers, big shout out to them. And then I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. So they've been conducting similar forums since 1920, and that was 6 months before the 19th Amendment was ratified. I thought that was pretty cool. It's been a privilege to participate in the League's ongoing work in the free exercise of democracy. I have to thank my city council mentor, Matt Goodman, and my co-counsel, Sherry Goodman, and all the Ward 1 members who are here tonight. And I want to end with one of my favorite quotes, which is this: "Come on, people now, smile on your brother, sister. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Let's try and take care of each other." I'm Jacque Phillips, and I'm running for Thornton City Council Ward 1. Thank you.
Okay, Julia?
Yes, thank you to the League of Women Voters for having this forum. Transparency and communication, like I said, is something that's really important to me. And so I'm grateful that we've had this opportunity to talk further to voters and talk to you about why we should be elected to city council. Like I said, I love Thornton. We chose to make our home here, and I want to continue to make sure that it's growing responsibly, and that we're making it that's still a great place to live, and that's a great place for the community. So together, we can do that. We can't do it alone. We need everybody to be involved and to be working on this. And so you can find out more information about me, and please get in contact with me. If you go to juliamarvin.com, you can find out more information there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tamara?
So thank you for having me, and thank you for you hosting the League of Women. And Thornton needs, a community leader and a business woman on council. And I'm excited for a new venture. I'm excited to serve the people of Thornton. And I've been here, my family's been here 7 generations here in Thornton. So I left and went to Georgia, for a little bit, but I learned something there too. But I thank you. I hope I have your vote. I'm Tamara Pierce, running for Ward 2. And never forget the difference in your community.
Okay, thank you. Jessica?
Hi, I'm honestly a little bit flustered right now because I have like 10 missed calls from my mother who is watching my son. So I'm just going to make this really quick because I think I've got a family emergency happening. I am running to make sure that we're growing safely and sustainably, to make sure that we've got safe streets and clean communities, and we remain a welcoming community. If you want to learn more about me, please visit jessicatroyforthornton.com. Check out my Facebook page. I try to post informative articles and pictures every day, and feel free to reach out to me. I really love chatting with people. Don't be afraid to reach out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good luck. Curtis?
I'm so sorry. I'm going to go call my mother back.
Okay.
Thank you all once again for putting this event on tonight, and thank you everyone for being here, short notice, and here at 10 after 8. I have to say thank you to my family for being so supportive through the campaign, and I think other than that, I just want to say please consider me as you vote your ballot here over the next few weeks. And I'll be sticking around after the session, so if anyone wants to come and talk to me individually, ask me questions, that would be great. I'd really appreciate the face-to-face conversation with you. And once again, my name is Curtis Kowalski. I'm running for Thornton City Council in Ward 4, and my website address is www.curtis4thornton.org. Thank you.
Okay, let's give these candidates a big round of applause. Thank you very much for coming tonight.